here with Roger, KO4QMM, and Vicky, K8VKY tonight. And we're going to be doing the East Coast Reflector TechNet number 647 on this Veterans Day 2025. First off, all of us here in the Zoom room and all of the team from the East Coast Reflector would like to thank all of our veterans for their service today. I trust and hope everybody had a great day. I was out for most of the afternoon. I saw a lot of veterans, saw a lot of restaurants that were giving free meals and so forth, and it's just wonderful to see that. So thank you from all of us here in the booth tonight to all of our veterans. Thanks for your service. Something from the antenna farm, and then we're going to go right to stations with questions. We've kind of changed our format around a little bit. We're going to see how this works. Then after the stations with questions, we're going to go right to text check-ins. We're going to start with 10 text check-ins, and we're going to do 10 radio check-ins and go back and forth. So that seems to be working out. A couple of announcements that I do have this week. Thursday at 8 o'clock is our monthly town hall meeting. It's in the East Coast Reflector Zoom room. It's a lot of fun. Come join us. Voice your opinion on what you don't like, what you do like, what you'd like to see, and so forth on the East Coast Reflectors. It's a general discussion run like any other town hall meeting, except we're in Zoom. And on March 17th, which is next Monday, we have a nice presentation coming up in our Zoom room by N2LZY from out in the Rochester, New York area. He's going to talk about the Antique Wireless Association in Bloomfield, New York. There's a museum there. I've not been there myself, but I've seen pictures. They have stations set up from the 50s, 60s, 70s. I think there's a Collins station there. There might be a Heathkit station there set up, and he's going to take us around and show us what they got from the Antique Wireless Association in Bloomfield, New York. That's next Monday at 8 o'clock in the East Coast Reflector Zoom room. That being said, I think I'm going to stick to the script here tonight, and we're going to go right to Charles, KC6UFM. Good evening, Charles. What do you have for us tonight? This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
Good evening, Dick, and everyone on the TechNet. This is Charles, KC6UFM in beautiful downtown Guatay, California. First of all, Dick, to answer the question for the TechNet tonight, I don't know if I should be ashamed or not, but actually, yes, I have put pins in a wall map, but I haven't done that for maybe 10 years or so. But in any event, getting on to the topic for tonight, last week we talked a little bit about NFED antennas and the matching transformers therefore, and I received about a dozen emails, people wanting a little more information and so forth, and I thought this evening I'd go a little bit more in depth into that and talk about it a little bit. As we talked about last week, there are really two kinds of transformers that are used for NFED half waves, and those are the ones we're going to be looking at this evening. One is a 49-to-1 ratio, and the other is a 64-to-1 ratio. As a general rule, the lower the antenna is, the higher the feed point impedance becomes. And if you do the calculations, a 49-to-1 will give you a match to a feed point that is about 2,450 ohms. At 64-to-1, that goes up to about 3,200 ohms. And the rule of thumb that everybody uses is if the antenna is 40 feet or higher, then use a 49-to-1. If it is lower than 40 feet, use a 64-to-1. Now, with that said, there are some commercial transformers made that you can switch between 49 and 64 to 1 to see which is going to work better for your particular installation, because other things come into play, trees, buildings, the type of ground underneath the antenna, all those things also come into play. Let me do a reset here. So sometimes it's going to be difficult to exactly predict which transformer you're going to need. But with that said, for all of those, both of those transformers, there are two variants. For the 49 to 1, you can have a transformer, and this by far is the most common, with 2 primary turns and 14 secondary turns to get that 49 to 1 ratio. Experience has shown that works best for antennas in the higher frequencies, and the cutoff is somewhere between 80 and 60 meters on HF, and that will work well for you all the way up to 6 meters. However, if you're going to do a lot of work on 160 or 80 meters, a better option is to use a transformer with 3 primary turns and 21 secondary turns. Now, you do the math, it's still a 49 to 1, but those extra turns let it work a little bit better at those lower frequencies. By the same token, for a 64 to 1, you have 2 options. One, again, for 80 or 60 meters all the way up to 6 meters, use 2 primary turns and 16 secondary turns. If you're going to work a lot of 160 and a lot of 80 meters, you might want to go with 3 primary and 24 secondary. Again, at the lower frequencies, those extra turns are going to help it be a little bit more efficient and radiate a little better. Reset. Okay, so so you have some options there, and the big thing to keep in mind is this sounds a little bit daunting to wind your own transformers, but it's really extremely simple. And in next month's antenna farm, I'm going to get into actually winding a transformer. It's not going to be for an end-fed half wave. It's going to be for a long wire type, which is a little bit different. But the process of winding is exactly the same. And if you looked at the prices of these matching transformers, you can save about 70% of the cost by taking an hour or so and winding your own. So, keep in mind that there are variances here and ways to do these things. And sometimes, though, as I say, it's hard to predict if you're going to need that 49 to 1 ratio or the 64 to 1. But generally speaking, the lower the antenna, the higher the feed point impedance is going to be, and the better the 64 to 1 is going to work for you. With all that said, though, Dick, when in doubt, use a 49 to 1. It will work. You may have a little bit high SWR on some bands, but a tuner will be able to tune that out just fine. And get on the air, get that wire up in the air, get radio connected to it, and just have some fun. So back over to you, Dick. Take care, 173, KC6, UFM, back to net control.
Well, thank you as always, Charles. Very enlightening, and yes, I've said that for many years and told the new people that. We talk about it all the time in the Zoom room. Don't over-engineer it when you're just getting started. Throw a piece of wire out and have some fun. You can always perfect it later. You got your whole career ahead of you to put up the absolute perfect antenna. So thank you. Let me go to Kevin, VE3BZ. I think he's got something from the swap and shop this evening. Good. Hi, Kevin.
Well, thank you, Dick, and good evening to everyone. This is Kevin, VE3BZ, and I have one item in the swap and shop tonight, and that is from Gil, K4GDS, who is selling a PrepCom MMX multiband Morse code transceiver for 20 meters. 40 meters and 80 meters can also be added with a module from Prepcom. Includes keyboard, power cord, and an Apache hard case for the transceiver. Will ship to a QRZ address for actual shipping costs, asking $200. And Gil's email is k4gds@icloud.com. And that's all I have. If you have anything that you would like to list for sales, trade, or want, just email me at ve3bz@rogers.com or go to eastcoastreflector.com. Click on Contact ECR and SwapNet Submissions. And I guess I'll answer tonight's question, and that's a no for me. Thank you, Dick. Back to you, V3BZ.
Thank you, Kevin. And I must say, that's 2 weeks in a row, I think, that both you and Charles had to remind me that I did not ask the question. Tonight's question, maybe it's a little old school, but I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with it. Have you ever put pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? Have you ever put pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? I was telling the guys and gals a little earlier in the Zoom room that, boy, I did. I had a U.S. map on my wall back in many years ago, and I had pins in as I worked the 50th state, and I remember running up the basement stairs screaming at my mother, I've worked it, I did it, I got all 50 states. And of course I had to wait about 6-7 months for the QSL cards to come, but it was quite an achievement. But it was long before computers, and I'm finding out that still a lot of people have wall maps, and they do like to put pins into the states, the countries, and so forth. So it's a question that kind of everybody can answer. Might relate to some of the older hams, but might make the newer hams thing. So the question tonight, once again, have you ever put pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? One thing I didn't mention here, our news magazine is out. Another beautiful job by the crew. Thank you, Vicki, for another great job. And if you're not getting the magazine and you want to subscribe, it's our bit.ly address, bit.ly/ECR subscribe. ECR subscribe. You can do it yourself and get on the mailing list. You will not receive this month, but you will receive next month. And the same old story, if you're not receiving it and you think you should be, I had one today that we're working at, let us know. If you didn't get this month, you think you should be getting it, please let us know, and we'll try to fix it. So let's go on to stations with amateur radio related questions. If you have a question tonight that you'd like to ask, Charles is here. I don't know if David's here, but we'll find out. So stations with amateur radio related questions. Call signs twice. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
Kilo Fox 6 Sierra Whiskey Lima, KF6SWO.
SWL. Boy, we were talking about SWL cards yesterday in the Zoom room. Back in the day, it was a lot more SWLing, I think, than there is today. But great call sign. Brandon, welcome. KF6 SWL. Why don't you answer our question? Have you ever put pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? And we'll take yours. Good evening.
Oh, of course I have. I'm wanting to get one set up here in the new radio room too, but baby steps. Yeah, I've got a major problem with a major RFI issue with my girlfriend's the pool pump controller. Not the pump itself. It's actually quieter when the pump's running, but when the system's in standby and not running, it just, my HF radio is not usable. I'm getting S9. I go hit the breaker, it goes down to nothing. Just wondering if anybody has any ideas on that. I already put a new ground rod in to make sure the system was grounded. That's pretty much all I've done, I guess. But anyway, just wondering if anybody's had the experience with that and knows the fix. KF6SWO.
I'm just asking this, I guess he said a controller for your pump. Well, you got an option. You can get a new girlfriend, but that might not be feasible. But on the serious side, let's see if we can find an answer for you. You got a lot of RFI coming out of the controller. I don't know what the pump is for. It doesn't matter. But have you? What size is this? What are we dealing with here? I assume we're dealing with 120 volts.
I would assume that the controller is 120. The pump might be 220. But like I said, the system's actually quieter when it's running. It's actually a little bit noisier when it's in standby. This is for the swimming pool. Sorry, I thought I said that. But yeah, the swimming pool pump controller.
Might have said that I missed swimming pool and I missed pump somehow along the line. Maybe you took a little hiccup there. But let's put it out to the group and see. In standby, that's I think it would be just the other way around. But has anybody? The question is, anybody experienced that? Anybody help Brandon out? His controller for the swimming pool motor in standby seems to be making a lot of noise and making HF useless. Yeah, K7TDR. Good evening. Cover. Syracuse, Utah. Good evening, my friend.
Hey, Dick. Yeah, my first question back to the gentleman would be, what are you doing to power his HF rig? Is it like through power supply, or is it isolated from his home power grid? Because I'm wondering if the RFI could be coming through the power supply.
That's certainly a good question. We need to know a little bit more information. Yeah, tell us about your HF rig, Brandon. Is it a power supply? Have you tried? We're assuming it's probably coming in perhaps on the AC. Have you tried to narrow it down? Do you think it's coming in on the antenna, coming in on the AC? Have you done any preliminary investigation?
Well, I didn't have very thick hair to begin with, and it's really thin now. No, it's definitely coming through the antenna. I can go out on my mobile rig, and I hear the same noise. I'm running the FTX1 Optima. I can shut off the power supply and just run it off the battery. Same noise. So it's definitely coming in through the antenna. And when I take my handheld out on HF and put it next to that controller box, and it just pegs the meter on it as soon as I get up close to it. So I've narrowed it down and done everything I could. Like I said, installed a 8-foot ground rod and all that jazz. But I thought, gosh, I'm following this ground wire, and I'm like, I don't know where it goes. I don't see a ground rod. It looks like I just buried the wire in the ground. So I'm like, well, I'm going to pound a ground wire. It's a ground rod, and I already had one anyway. So but that made zero difference. So, yeah, they were really racking my brain. And plus, I contacted the manufacturer, GND, I think is what the controller is called, and I got no response from them. I've emailed them twice, so I do have an RFI filter coming. See if that'll help. If not, then I'll throw it in the mobile because I've got other noises in the mobile rig.
Well, at least you've narrowed it down. You've proven that it's coming RF. Obviously, there's something in that box that's radiating. Let me just ask you this question before I turn it over to Trevor and get his response. What is it? Is it a metal box? What kind of a box is it? Is it a plastic Nemo box? Hopefully it's a good metal box.
Nope, it's all encased in plastic. That's good. There's a plastic box out there.
Yeah, boy, if it was some way that you could get at that to shield it, it might at least knock it down. Wrap some aluminum foil around it and see if that lowers the noise. What do you think, Trevor? Go ahead with your comment. K7 TDR.
K7 TDR. I think you read my mind. Otherwise, I was going to think you should definitely try and shield the box from that pointer. Investigate how well the antenna is grounded, but it's probably, I'm assuming, cheap equipment, cheap materials in that controller, so it's probably just emitting a bunch of RFI, so just getting that contained is probably the best bet. Back to you, Dick, K7 TDR.
Thanks, Trevor. Before you run, how about answering the question tonight? Have you ever put pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? It's kind of old school versus new school here tonight.
No, I haven't. I actually, I'm just now starting to get into HF more. I every once in a while will get out and do POTA, but I'm finally in a house where I can actually put up an HF rig, so I'm trying to figure out what I want to do and how I want to do it. So the long answer to your question, short answer is no. Back to you, K7 TDR.
All right. Well, thank you for your comments. Anybody else got a comment for Brandon? I think we need to get that box shielded somehow. Anybody else got a comment? AAT? I think I heard T. You quick keyed. Vicky maybe got it. Oh, is that you, K8? Yeah, I'm not sure. Might be Jerry, I guess. Hi, Jerry.
Yeah, you're correct. I was so anxious to get in there and make a comment. Not knowing at the size of the box, it does sound like there's an RFI problem with the device, which may not meet FCC specs, but if you can find a metal box that you could put that controller in, and of course then ground the box, that would probably take care of some of it. Just thinking out of the box, if you will. That's all I have, Dick.
That's kind of what we're thinking here as well, Jerry. And good evening to you. How about answering our question before I move along? I don't know how old school you are, but don't have to be old school to do this. Have you ever put pins in a map to mark your contacts?
Not. Age is no problem. I've been in this hobby since 1983. But as soon as I get my ham shack built in my barn, my plan is to put a map up and put the pins in.
put you down for trying. It's a good conversation piece. Thanks, Jerry. Yeah, I still think, Brandon, wrap that baby with, I don't know how big this is, but wrap that with aluminum foil and just see if it cuts the noise down at all. If you can get a benchmark, maybe take the antenna off your HF rig and see, get an S meter reading, put the attenuators in, and get it where you can read it, and shield that, if nothing more, with aluminum foil for a test, and then go and see if it did come down on the S meter. Simple, quick and dirty, something you could try. Anybody else got any suggestions for Brandon?
MRV.
Well, good evening. I didn't quite get the call sign, but good evening. Oh, Vicky did. Oh, it's Les. Hey buddy. Go ahead, Les.
Too easy. LRV was, yeah, I was probably a bit quick on the call sign. It was a question more than an answer. When you say the motor controller, are you talking about sort of, you're saying one was, the controller was 120 volts, the motor was 220. Is this an inverter controller? I came across something very similar years ago, and simply just swapping the phase wires over on the output side of the controller seemed to cure the problem. There was some sort of what we call the phase imbalance. But question, the motor controller, is it an inverter controller that regulates the speed of the motor? I think it's back to Brandon, isn't it? 2E0 LRV, Les from the Shire.
That's a good question, Les.
Yeah, that.
Brandon, is an inverter or?
I'm not sure how to even answer that one. It does have a, what do you call it? Almost like it looks like it'd be like a little hydrogen generator almost, but I think it was something for the saltwater system. I did try to shield that, and it didn't make any difference. I did try wrapping the unit in aluminum foil and grounding it, and it didn't do anything, so I removed it. Then I realized that I had a bad cable in the house, too, where the shield was a crimped cable, so I took that out of the system and put a better one in. But so I do need to try that again to see if it helps. But I'm not sure how to answer that question. I guess I'd have to do some research on it. Like I said, it's a Jandy, Jandy is the brand.
We got something else. Vicky, our Googler here, she has been Googling, and she said, and I think I have this right, that a possibility, there was one case of the control panel bolt was rusted and not making good contact with the rest. I don't know if the not making good contact with the box or something like that. I believe that she said, but the control panel bolt. I don't know what this device looks like, Brandon, but could that be a possible cause? There is something in Google about the same thing, about your problem.
Copy. Okay, yeah, I'll have to see if I can get the box opened up and maybe peek around in there. Yeah, see if I see anything corroded or rusty or loose. We're in southern Arizona, so we don't get a lot of moisture, but I wouldn't rule it out because we do get moisture sometimes, just not as much as we did in Nebraska, that's for sure. All right, well, thank you guys. You gave me a couple more ideas there. Yeah, I do need to open that box up and see if I can know how it opens up. I'm sure I can figure it out, or I'll grab the bull guy when he's here. He'll probably know. All right, thank you much. Thanks for letting me jump in. Kilo Fox 6, Sierra Whiskey Lima. This is Brandon in Casa Grande, Arizona, right between Phoenix and Tucson.
Well, thank you for your question tonight, Brandon. Your first time checking here on the TechNet. So do come back and let us know. I'm be interested to see. Really would be interested to see if you wrapped that box with tinfoil, took some measurements to see if the level went down, just to prove that it's coming from the box. It could be coming from the wiring. I mean, anything coming out of that box is an antenna. I don't know if you might even try putting some ferrites on the ins and outs. It's probably a like you said, you didn't know if it was 240 or not, but it can't hurt by putting some chokes on the wires coming out if you can get at it. Again, not knowing exactly what you got there, but do come back and let us know what you make out or how you make out. Thanks, Les. And Les, why don't you answer our question tonight? I don't know if you're old school, and this doesn't have to be old school. Have you ever put pins in a map on a wall to mark your contacts?
To these LRV. Not while I've been on the radio. Years ago when I was a kid, we used to buy stuff from an old army surplus store in the town that I lived in, and they used to wrap it up, and their wrapping paper was old USAF maps of Europe. I remember having one of those on the wall when I was a kid. I was about 10 years old. I put pins in that, much to my father's disgust, because he made big holes in the plaster. Because I used to be shortwave listening when I was 10 years old, and it was getting some of the Radio Albania and Radio Hungary, the old Soviet bloc countries, and they used to have these little stations. I used to listen to them on shortwave, and then if you send them a report in to say that you'd heard them and all the rest of it, they'd send you a QSL card back, which, much to my father's horror, I was getting these QSL cards coming in from communist countries in the early 1960s. He was not at all amused, and the radio got confiscated, but that was the last time I stuck pins in a map on the wall. I'm a little bit more high-tech these days. Mind you, I'm 70, so I think I could probably say I've grown up since then. Back to net control, 2E0 LRV.
Well, thanks, Les. I chose this question tonight for a conversation, and I think it will make conversation. That's quite a story. And that's what I had said to Brandon. His call sign is KF6SWL. Just in our Zoom room this week, a couple of days ago, we were talking about the SWL cards. You don't seem to, it was big back in the day, you don't seem to hear too many people talking about it. But SWLing, both for broadcast stations and amateur radio, I think was a lot bigger, back in the day. I know I had SWL cards before I got my license. Thanks, everybody. A lot of fun here tonight. Thanks, Brandon, and do come back and let us know. Anybody else? Hopefully got a question tonight. This is Dick, WB2JPQ with the East Coast Reflector TechNet. Who else has got an amateur radio-related question?
Whiskey 9, Quebec. Don't have a question for tonight, but I just wanted to check in for one for the count.
Well, we'll let you do that in a couple minutes. I'd really like to take stations at this time with amateur radio-related questions. Somebody must have a question, and we'll get a discussion going like we just did there with Brandon. That's what's fun. Stations with a question, please. And the other station, if you would, just wait, and when we get done with the questions, we'll be going to general check-ins, and I'll tell you what the game plan is there. So stations with a question, please.
KQ4 FWA. Hotel Echo, KQ4 FHE. Johnny, is that you?
got Pat in Harvest. Good evening, Pat, KQ4FHE. And we got an SWA. The SWA suffix, your call sign twice, please.
That was KQ4 Foxtrot Whiskey Alpha. Sorry I doubled there.
KQ4FHA. All right. I think we got that right. He's playing games here with me. But let me go to Pat while we straighten this train wreck out. I think that's Andrew in Kentucky. Let me go to Pat in Harvest, Alabama. Pat, let me take your question and maybe get our question out of the way so we don't forget. Have you ever put pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? And yes, probably putting holes in your drywall. I do remember when I did it, my father had taken a piece of bulletin board material. We put the map on that because he didn't want the holes in the wall, and somehow we hung that board up. So that was my story. Pat, good evening. KQ4FHE, your question, and please answer ours.
Good evening, Dick, and everybody else on the net. This is KQ4FHE. I have two questions. The first question is, can you bury coax under the ground? And the second question is, on a DC switching power supply, does it put out broadband noise, or does it put out noise at discrete frequency? Anybody know the answers to those? This is KQ4FHE.
KC6UFM.
Good evening again, Charles. Good questions, Pat. KC6UFM.
Yeah, thank you, Dick. KC6UFM, Charles here in Guatay, California. Yeah, Pat, as far as your first question is concerned, it's a qualified yes. Some coax is rated for direct burial, others are not. It depends on what you buy, and of course the stuff that's suitable for direct burial is a little more expensive, but not radically so. And personally, I have used the stuff that is not rated for burial inside of a piece of PVC conduit and buried it that way to keep the water and the dirt off of it, and it's been fine for many, many, many years that way. So, yes, it can be buried. That's not a problem, but if you're going to direct bury it, make sure that it's rated for that. As far as your second question is concerned, my experience has been that switching power supplies tend to be pretty broad-banded, but there's a lot more in the higher frequencies at or above whatever the oscillation frequency that the switch happens to be using. But most of those issues are solved with a few ferrites. You may have to pop open the power supply and put some beads on the lines going to the sockets on the outside and the terminals, but it's relatively easy to deal with. Back over to you, Dick, KC6UFM, back to net control.
Thanks, Charles. I don't know, Pat, if that answered your question or any help to you.
That's affirmative. A lot of help, and I'll check into the PVC and the coax itself. Thank you.
Have you ever put pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? Can't let you run so easy, Pat. Did you run on me? KQ4FHE, you're still there? chat. I see the repeater coming up, KQ4FAT. Are you still with me? I'd like you to answer our question tonight if you could. Have you ever put pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? Yes, he ran. Thanks for your question. We're not sure about this. Is it KY4SWA? Is this Andrew in Kentucky that had a question?
Dick, my signal may be weak. This is Kilo Quebec 4 Foxtrot Whiskey Alpha KQ4FWA, unless somebody else similarly doubled with me.
Q4FWA. Oh. All right, Brandon again. Did you have another question? You called in the second time?
I'm just here to add confusion. This is a second and different Brandon in High Springs, Florida.
Man, I haven't had anything to drink yet. Holy mackerel, 2 Brandons, and the call signs are quite similar. Holy mackerel. I'm sorry. Good evening, says Brandon number 2. We were fooling around in the Zoom room before this started. I thought we had 2 Rogers in the Zoom room, but it turned out to be only one. Anyway, your question, Brandon, I'm sorry. KQ4FWA.
That's kind of like the old airplane shtick, Roger, Roger. Anyway, my question is, when I get my general here, God willing, I'm going to take the test this weekend. I already have an ICOM 7300 and a tuner. I can't remember the name of the model number of the tuner, but the short question is, am I doing myself any disservice by putting the tuner inside of the shack? It's a relatively short run of coax to the mast, but am I better off, no matter what, to put it as close to the antenna as possible, or keep that inside of the shack? Would that affect me in any way?
KC6UFM.
I think we got to find out what kind of a tuner you got. Most desktop tuners obviously go in the shack. Is this a remote tuner of some sort?
I have it packed away. I wish I remembered. I bought the stuff and with intentions of getting the general a little quicker, and then life happened. It's an ICOM tuner, and everything was from Gigaparts. It mates well apparently with that radio. It's definitely able to be put outside, and I can't tell you much more about it. I know it can go outside. It's weatherproof, but I thought just to keep it simple and all my initial connections inside the shack, would it be all right to put it inside the shack?
A little more information, I'll send it over to Charles. But yep, it's definitely a remote tuner. Then go ahead, Charles.
Thank you, Dick, and thank you for asking the first question I was going to ask. Brandon, if it is an external tuner, I would strongly encourage you to put it outside and put it as close to the feed point of the antenna as you can get it. And the reason for that is, the logic, if you will, is that if you put the tuner in the shack and you have a high SWR on your antenna, that SWR is going to exist on the feed line from the antenna all the way to the tuner. And that means that the loss is also going to still be there. If you put it as close to the antenna as you can get it, then the coax and your receiver or transceiver are seeing a proper load all the way down that feed line to the tuner, and just that little short stub that goes from the tuner to the antenna is going to be seeing a high SWR and have high losses. With that said, if your run is anything less than about 50 feet on HF, it's really not going to make a whole lot of difference. But if it is an external tuner, it's designed to go outside. It's weatherproof. You can be controlled from the rig. I would put it outside if it were me, because that's what it's intended to do, and it will actually work a whole lot better for you that way. But in a practical sense, you're probably not going to notice any difference no matter where you put it. Back over to you, Dick, KC6 UFM, back to net control.
Yep, thanks, Charles. Certainly agree to keep it as close to the antenna. I hope that helped you, Brandon, and would you like to answer our question? Did you ever fool around with putting pins in a wall map to mark your turf, to mark your states or countries that you've worked in?
In one of our other houses, the wife and I had a map up to mark our travels. I wish I would have kept it, but as soon as I get this shack done and my setup done, I am an old school kind of guy, so yes, there will be a map up, and there will be some thumbtacks to mark my progress.
Vicky's pretty tough tonight. She's not very generous. She's giving you nothing for future. Nothing for future.
Comment, KN6GSG.
All right, that's where my echo was coming from, was KN6GSG on Echo Link. Where was I here? Let's get the comment on the subject, and then we'll get your answer, Brandon, on ours. The station with the comment on Echo Link. Go ahead, please.
Well, greetings. This is Barry, KN6GSG. Comment on Brandon with I think he said he had an Icon 7300. They have an internal tuner, those radios, that are very good. It's a very good tuner with a memory. So I'm not sure why you would add another tuner to the radio. That's my comment. KN6GSG clear. Oh, you want me to answer your question? No, I've never put pins into a map for any contacts. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Barry. That's a good question, Barry. I wrote down 7300 here, and I had that same thought, and I lost it. In Allset's an extremely high Bizwire, but that's a good question, Brandon. You might not need that. Why go with an external tuner if your 7300 will tune it? I don't know what, it's got more than 3 to 1. You might need it. I don't know what a 7300 tunes, but you might not need that tuner. You might be going through a lot of extra work that's not needed, Brandon. Have you ever thought about that?
I think that's part of the problem with me. I put the cart before the horse, got the unit and the setup before I even passed my general. So I do remember reading something on the interweb that led me to believe that the tuner was a good thing to have, not totally necessary. And I know it has an internal tuner. I actually set the unit up at residence and was able to monitor pretty well. So that's a very valid point. And I mean, it's a bummer that I bought it, but it's if I don't need it, I'm not going to do the extra work to set it up. But I'll do some further research. As to your question, maybe somebody doubled, or I did hear you get an echo in there. The map, we did have a map at our old place, and it was for travel. And yes, the track went up. I'm going to have a big old map with some thumbtacks. I'm pretty old school.
Hey, that's a fun question. Well, let us know. I'll bet you're going to find out that if you got any kind of a decent antenna, that the 7300 will tone it just fine. So don't over-engineer it. Try the 7300 first and go from there. Thanks everybody for questions and answers, and thank you, Barry from Moss Beach, California, for jumping in with your comment as well. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. Who else do we have? Good discussion here tonight. Stations with amateur radio related questions. Call signs twice.
K4LT in Mobile.
4 Romeo Hotel Echo.
Good evening to Roger in Fort Lauderdale and John in Jensen Beach, Florida. Looks like you're both, if we got it right, I think it was K4LT. I think you were right the first time, Vicki. If it's K4LT, good evening, and it looks like John in Jensen Beach, Florida. Looks like you're new to the system as well, John. So answer our question, and we'll take one from you. How's that?
Okay, thanks for letting me jump in here real quick. I'm pretty familiar with the 7300, the 7610, and the AH4 tuner. If he lives in an HOA or if he has a long wire, the AH4 tuner is going to work better for him than the internal tuner on the 7300. That's my comment, and the AH4 is a very good tuner. You disable the tuner inside the 7300 when you use it. And it will tune. Let's just say you have 4 to 1 on a random long wire. It's going to tune that wire. So if he has only one wire and he wants to work bands that he normally couldn't work, that's the way to do it. Over.
Thank you for your comment, John, tonight. And our question is, have you ever put pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? Kind of an old school, no school question.
I was first licensed in 1978, and I got out of the hobby, and I was doing that back in 78, 79, and 80, and I got back into the hobby during the beginning of COVID. So now I'm very active. I've been on a couple DX expeditions, but I'm using LOTW now and QRZ for my logging, so I don't use a wall map anymore. But and I'm the comms officer for the Coast Guard Auxiliary here in South Florida. Over.
John, you certainly will qualify for a yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for your comment to Brandon. Let me move on to Roger, and for RHE. Good evening, Roger. What's your question, please?
WB2JPQ. Good evening, Dick. November 4, Room and Teleco. Pins? No, I have not, because I have yet to make contacts at the top to pin them so it won't fall down. I have an ICOM 7300 and I have ICOM AH4, and they work well together. My question, what do they say key up the mic when you're pressing down on the microphone with your thumb? November 4, Romeo Teleco, return to net.
Jeff was here tonight. Maybe he is out there, but I'm going to answer that the way Jeff would. Push the fun button, Roger.
Can't push it up.
Well, I'll remind Jeff when I see him, but yep, that's Jeff's answer. Push that fun button, or he'll say it's Fun Button Friday. Always gets a laugh. Thanks, Roger. Little humor here tonight, and no on the pins. Who else do we have? Stations with an amateur radio-related question. This is Dick, WB2JPQ, along with Vicky, KAVKY in the log, and Roger in the green room.
Here is November 9, India Sierra Uniform, Jim, Evansville, Indiana. No questions, just wanted to check in.
Okay, Jim, I'll have to ask you to do the same. Please wait till we take general check-ins. We're taking stations with amateur radio-related questions. As soon as we get done with them, Roger's going to start with text check-ins. And for those that aren't familiar with our text line, 716-317-9050. 716-317-9050. You text your call sign and only your call sign, and we will put you on the log. It does not automatically go on the log sheet, so if you're following along on the fetch log, you won't see it until Vicki adds it when we go for text check-ins. So if you would, I think you said it was Pat, if you would just hold on till after we're done with the stations with questions. Stations with questions, who else do I have out there tonight?
N6QDY, N6QDY.
Well, good evening, David. Sacramento, California, 6QDY. We'll do the same to you. Why don't you answer our question, and we'll take one from you.
Hello there, Dick, Vicky, everybody in the Zoom control room and on the net. To answer your question, Dick, yes, I have used pins on maps before, way back in the day when I was real interested in HF. Go ahead.
Might be new to us here on the East Coast. We've been here a long time on this TechNet, over 12 years. But you can follow along on our fetch log. Several ways to do it. You can go to the website, eastcoastreflector.com, go to nets. There's a box there to follow along on the log. Obviously, go to the TechNet page. Or you could use our bit.ly/ECR logs. So, David, your question, please.
Yeah, thanks, Dick. Maybe I'm too old school for this, but I keep hearing people talking about FT8, I think it is, Fox Tango 8. What exactly is that, and how does that work? If I've got the right nomenclature down. I keep hearing people talking about FT8. Go ahead.
Are you setting me up, David?
I'm very serious. FT8, because I haven't really looked it up. I've asked someone before, but I'm sure. So yeah, is it FT8? Am I using the right nomenclature? And I'm serious.
FT8, yeah, we'll get somebody to tell you. We'll go on the FT8ers to tell you all about it. Well, we kid around a lot in the Zoom room, and maybe you've heard us, about FT8. I even, one of the guys Texas actually sent me a hat that says no FT8 on it, so it's just a standing joke with me. I don't work FT8, but who do we have that is an FT8 operator and can help David out? Tell him all about FT8, the digital mode of FT8.
KC6 UFM.
Charles.
Yeah, thanks, Dick. David, FT8 is one of a group of digital modes. I'm not going to say that they're for HF because there's a lot of activity on VHF and some on UHF as well, but basically they are computer-to-computer modes. There's some other protocols, FT4, and I'm not going to go into all the details of the differences there, but they are all controlled and run by software on your computer. The most popular is WS-JTX, and then JTDX is another very popular one. And basically, it is kind of a, for lack of a better term, remember the old point-and-click cameras? FT8 and its related modes are kind of the point-and-click world of ham radio. It's a very fast exchange of digital information. It goes very quick. There's no conversation involved. It's just exchange of signal reports and call signs done from one computer to another without your intervention. With that said, the big advantage to these modes is they can operate on signals that are way down in the noise. Very, very weak signal modes and very flexible in that term. It needs to be expanded a little bit to where it would actually be useful because, extreme weak would be very great during emergency communications, but it's not easy to support on the current iterations. So if we could get in there with that and hopefully not pack it like that was, then it would be much more useful and viable. But I do some FT8 work and other digital modes as well. In fact, I'm here on 20 meters now trying to contact Roger, but I thought, since he's not on the net yet, he would be there wanting to talk to somebody on FT8 tonight. But anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell, David. Back over to you, Dick, KC6 UFM.
Thanks, Charles. Yeah, David, I would suggest you talk with Randy or Daryl. They're both very, very well versed, as many others are in the Zoom room on FT8. So that was kind of the long and short of it from Charles. But those guys will give you a demonstration and really tell you all about it. So we got you for a yes with the pins, and thanks for your question, David.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I'll talk to Randy and Charles and whoever else. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Charles. Appreciate that. Back to you there, Dick. M6QDY.
Hey, thank you, David. Who else do we have? Stations with amateur radio-related questions? What I got here? 4 past the hour.
N0MSS, November 0, Mike Sierra Sierra.
Oh, Mr. Ross, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Dick and everybody on the net. First of all, I do not use pins in a map. So there's your question answered. My question is, I posted a couple pictures of an antenna on the East Coast Reflector Facebook page, and wanting help identifying what kind of an antenna it is. It's about 20 feet long. It's got some sort of a load in the middle. The strange part about it, the base looks like a comet or diamond dual band antenna, where there's a sleeve slides over the bottom about 8 inches of it to cover up the coax connector. And it has 3 radials on it about 4 feet long that are made out of aluminum that stick out straight. So it's kind of odd. I haven't had time to set it up and put an analyzer on it yet, but wondering if anybody can maybe ID for me, brand, what it was used for. I suppose it could be a quarter wave over quarter wave for or something like that, but I'm going to guess it's maybe some sort of a loaded antenna, but for what band, I don't know. So there's some pictures on Facebook. If you got that, please let me know. M0MSS.
KC6UFM.
I was kind of baffled myself with that big black coil in the middle. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it, but maybe you could help us out if you go to the East Coast Reflector Facebook page. It's on there, and see if you've ever seen one before. So, thanks, Ross. And no pin.
I heard Charles' idea in there. Maybe he's got an answer for me already.
I think I double with you, Ross. Go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, Charles put his call in there. Maybe he's got an answer for me already.
Yeah, I didn't hear Charles. Vicky just said that Charles was there. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, thank you, Dick. Yeah, Ross, I don't have Facebook, but so I don't know, have not seen the pictures. But if you would like to send them to me, my email is good on QRZ, and I'll take a look at that and see if it looks familiar to me. But what you were kind of describing sounds like maybe you're right. Sounds like some sort of a stacked or phased array for either 10 or 12 meters, maybe 11 meters, I don't know. But if you want to send those to me, I'd be happy to take a look at them, Ross. KC6UFM, back to net control.
Sounds good, thanks. M0MSS clear.
And Miss Vicky has already sent them to you, Charles, so they should be in your inbox. She already sent them to you.
Okay, I'll take a look here.
Hey, let's take one more question here tonight. One more amateur radio related question before I send it over to Roger. He's been in the green room warming up here all night. We'll let him in here right after. One more question, station with an amateur radio related question.
K7APC.
K7APC was that? That was not twice and slowly, but one more time. The AP or ATC station, twice and slowly, please.
Kilo 7 Alpha Papa Charlie. K7 APC.
Oh, Doug, coming in from Oregon. Nice to have you with us. We'll take your question if you would, and you could answer ours as long as you're there as well.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. My question to the net is Zoom Spot. How does it work, and is it easy to hook up?
Zoom Spot. Well, there's tons of people out there running Zoom Spots on the digital mode. Constructive criticism, Doug. Your audio's very hot. You might want to crank your mic gain down a little bit. And you're on the edge of really destroying badly. So who'd like to help Doug out on Zoom Spot? Who's got a Zoom Spot that they'd like to share some information with Doug on? You digital guys out there, nobody wants to share information on a Zoom Spot? I don't have one. I know how they work, but I certainly don't have one.
All right, roger that. Thanks for having me on the net. 73s.
Well, I'm sure if you there's tons of information online. Many people have the Zoom Spot. And Vicki, one more time. Vicki said that antenna is a what? A 900 meg antenna?
Google says.
Google says it's a 900 meg antenna. Okay. That's what Google says. It must be true. Did you find anything on it? Did you see that, Charles? What do you think?
I have not received the images yet, so but when Vicki told me that a moment ago, that sounds like it might very well be true.
Lack of having any better information, we can see what we can do for you, Ross, on there. So, all right, 12 past the hour. We had good discussion, a lot of fun in here for an hour and 12 minutes here this morning, guys and gals. So I'm going to send it over to Roger, KO4QMM, and he's going to take 10 text check-ins. Vicky's got him somewhere in queue, I think, ready to go for Roger. He's going to take the 10 text check-ins. Once again, you can always text into all of our nets, 716-317-9050, and all you do is text your call sign, and Vicki will transfer it over to the log page like we do on the Morning Brew or all of our nets at any time. I will see everybody tomorrow, and I got to get these days straight, having a day off. TechNet tonight, and I do the open and the brew in the morning, so we'll see everybody on the Morning Brew, and let's have a little bit of fun here with this question tonight. Over to you, Roger. This is Dick WB2JPQ. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thanks, Dick. That was an interesting evening there. This is KO4QMM, and we have Vicki doing the log, K8BKY. She keeps everything straight, already has 10 text check-ins up there. And if this is your first time listening to this is the East Coast Reflector, Tuesday night TechNet. Check out eastcoastreflector.com. You'll see what we're all about. A lot there, and news magazine, a lot of different nets, and we do have fun. And tonight's fun is, have you ever put push pins in the map mark your contacts? Have you ever put pins in the wall to map your contacts and such? And yes, I have, till I got to about 60 pins, and they started falling on the floor, and I went into Grid Tracker, so that took over. All right, on that note, let's go ahead and take these first text check-ins from the bottom up. KI5PMI, Bill, Hobbs, New Mexico. AC4BR, Brian, Kentucky. W2RBC, Randy, West Seneca, New York. K7F, Fred, Reno, Nevada. K6AAN, Mike, Valley Springs, California. W2AJR, Andy, Cheektowaga, New York, KK4SED, Les, Claremont, Florida, KA8BYU, Roy, Blaisdell, New York, WA2UUS, Joel, Buffalo, New York, and top of the list, Bob, Gallatin, Tennessee, KD2JPP. Good evening, Bob, and do you ever put pins in the wall to mark your contacts? Over.
Hey, good evening, Roger and Vicky and everybody else on the net. As far as tonight's question, no, I haven't used push pins to mark my radio contacts. So everybody have a good night, stay safe, have a great week.
Thanks for joining us, Bob. You have a great evening. Let's move on to Joel, Buffalo, New York, WA22US. Good evening, Joel.
Roger and everyone else on the net tonight. I started in the early 1960s as a novice on CW. I don't recall having a map that I put pins in, and we did have to we were required to keep logs, and I did keep a log. But when I got back into ham radio and I got my first good HF Yaesu FTDX 1200, it came with a Yaesu map of the world for radio amateurs, and I used check marks. I can't get pins in the door here, so that's what I do, and I guess I keep that habit. I wish everyone a nice week ahead, and be well and be safe, and thank you, Roger, and thank you, Vicky.
Thank you. It wouldn't be no fun if you didn't show up. Appreciate it, Joel. And yeah, that's why I got crazy with them push pins. And next thing I was stepping on them on the floor and everything else. And I got Grid Tracker, and it shows every contact I've made all over the world. Very cool. Thanks again. Let's move on to Roy, Blaisdell, New York. Good evening, Roy. K8BYU.
Evening, everybody on the TechNet, KAA-BYU. Yeah, I was kind of in a similar situation. I was renting, and I couldn't put holes in the wall. So I taped that large map of the world up, and I used a smiley face stamp. And put little smiley faces all over the map with all the contacts. Back to you. KA8BYU.
Yeah, Roy, we don't want to mention taking the map down and then there's all those holes in the wall. That's a pretty good idea there. Thanks for joining us, as you always do. Let's move on to Les, Claremont, Florida, KK4SED. Good evening, Les, and you put push pins in the wall to mark your contacts on a map. Over.
41 degrees here in Claremont. No, I don't know. No pins in the wall. I'd have a hissy fit here. So no, I use the QRZ log. That's it. KK4 SED back to net.
Oh, I got the big map. I was looking forward to it 5 years ago when I started this. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on to Andy, Cheektowaga, New York, W2AJR. Good evening, Andy.
Good evening, Roger. Everybody on the net. Like you, Roger, I use virtual pins in a Grid Tracker, so no map on the wall for me. 7-3, everybody have a great week. Thank you, Roger.
Sure is fun to look at all those contacts, isn't it? Thanks for joining us, Andy. Have a great evening. Let's move on to Mike, Valley Springs, California, K6AAN. Good evening, Mike.
Well, hello there, Roger, and everybody on the net. negative on the push pins. I don't have shacks out in the garage, and I don't have anything on the wall out there. I really don't. Anyway, weather's on the change out here in California. It's a nice motorcycle ride day to day, but looks like we're heading for a storm here the next day, day and a half. So we'll be getting ready to clean up leaves and batten down the hatches. Hope to catch you in the morning, and 7-3, everyone. This is K6AAN.
Bet you got a motorcycle calendar out there. Just wondering. Have a good evening. Let's move on to Fred, Reno, Nevada, K7FPS. Good evening, Fred. Have you ever put push pins in the wall to mark your map? Over.
Hey, Roger, Vicky, and everyone on the net. No, I do not. I am a dead tree person. I'll write down random call signs on scribble pads, and I'm going to save them for posterity, and I'm going to look them over later and kind of go on. And I don't date them, so it'll be interesting. Anyway, again, thank you, Roger. K7FPS, Fred and Reno. Back to net.
We got you down for no. Thanks for joining us this evening. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida with the East Coast Reflector, Tuesday Night TechNet. Question of the evening is, have you ever put push pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? Let's move on to my buddy Randy, West Seneca, New York, W2RBC. Good evening, Randy.
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, and everyone on the TechNet. No, I have never used a wall map and push pins. I also prefer using Grid Tracker, which generates a computerized map with contact flags. Back to net control, 73 to all, W2RBC.
Yeah, I'm smiling on that one. I just couldn't picture you putting push pins in the map anyhow. Thanks for joining us, Randy. Have a great evening. Let's move on to Brian, Monticello, Kentucky, AC4BR. Good evening, Brian.
Hi, good evening, Roger, and everybody on the net. Hope everybody's having a good day. No, I have never used that method. That sounds kind of intriguing, now that I have heard about it. Just never gave a thought to it. I'm also going to check out Grid Tracker. But anyway, I hope everybody has a good evening, and we will talk to y'all later. Turn it back to net control, AC4BR.
Well, you have a wonderful evening too, Brian. Thanks for joining us. And bottom of the text list is Bill from Hobbs, New Mexico, KI5PMI. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Roger, everybody on the net. No, I have not done that yet. Barely getting into doing a few little HF things, so haven't done that. Hope everyone has a good night. KI5PMI, back to net.
I can't wait to put that first pin in Italy or Spain or England and straight across the water there usually. Thanks for joining us. That's it for the text list. This is KO4QMM. We're going to do the call-ins now. Anybody, anywhere, general call-ins. Come with your call sign twice and slow for Miss Vicky.
And 2ZZN. Whiskey Bravo 8, Oscar Delta Foxtrot, WB8ODF.
Kilo 2, Alpha Papa, K2, 8B.
Whiskey 7, Fox Tango Mike, Alex.
Hey.
All right, let me grab it here and let you know who we got. VK3AWA, Daryl, Australia. W7FTM, Alex, Arizona. NY4DX, Bertrand, Trinidad. K2AP, Joe, Eastlip, New York. That ain't Joe. Oh, yeah, I got you missed. Yeah, that's Joe. All right. And WB8ODF, Dave, Ypsilanti, Michigan. N2ZVN, Alan, Kendall, New York. Let's start with you, Alan, N2ZVN. Have you ever put push pins in the wall in the map to mark your contacts?
Well, good evening, Roger. Everyone on the net tonight. Well, I have a map on a wall, but I have plexiglass over it. So I use a Sharpie instead of pins. So you can categorize that however you want to. And everyone have a great night. And 2ZVN, back to net.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's pretty smart there. And you can just put little pinpoint ink marks on every one of them. Pretty good idea. Thanks for joining us, Alan, and let's move on to Dave, Ypsilanti, Michigan. WB8ODF. Good evening, Dave.
Good. Roger and everyone on the net. This is Dave. I'm in Ypsilanti, southeastern Michigan, about 20, 25 miles due west of Detroit. Back in the 70s, I can't remember what store it was that sold these. It was like a Walmart. It wasn't Walmart, but one of those department stores. They sold 12 by 12 cork pads. And I just kind of nailed all those cork pads up in my shack. And man, did it smell good. And any map I put up there, I could just put as many pins in it as, like Roger. I think it was you that said that, Roger. The pins started falling out. You can only get so many people in the United Kingdom before pins start falling out. But yes, I did. My answer is yes. This is Dave, WB8ODF.
I totally agree, Dave. I was starting to look for smaller pins, I was like, man, I got to have some smaller pins for this. And then I got hooked up with Grid Tracker, and that saved the day. But yep, you get tired of stepping on them thumbtacks. You can only put so many in there. Thanks for joining us, my friend. You have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to Joe, East New York, K2AP. Good evening, Joe. Mr. Joe from Eastlip, New York, K2AP. You still with us? That's all right. Pizza deliveries do happen at the craziest times. Let's move on to my buddy Bertrand from Trinidad, Tobago. 9Y4DX. How about it, Bertrand? You sticking pins all over maps for your contacts? Over. was wondering how Vicky picked him up the first time. I didn't really hear him. Are you there, Bertrand, my buddy? No audio, my friend. You can try back in a little bit. I'm not going anywhere for a while. 9Y4DX, you have good evening. We'll be looking for you. Let's move on to Alex, Scottsdale, Arizona, W7FTM. How about Alex?
Thank you, Roger. Yeah, I hope Bertrand makes it back. I haven't heard him in a while. And I have one of the old-fashioned maps. I must confess that I stick pins in. My wife bought me one of those World Signature Edition wall maps by Rand McNally. It was framed and all that, so I've been using that with the pins. And although that was 10 years ago, and although I haven't talked to every single continent yet, except for Antarctica, I've talked to all of them, but Antarctica, got most of the islands, and I only use one pin per country, so I don't overcrowd it. It seems to work pretty well. It's the same one I have in my Curious Ed page. It's been up there, like I said, for 10 years. And see, other than that, my wife also has a doll that she likes to put pins in. It looks a lot like me, but she says it's just to hold sewing needles, and I guess I believe that. Thank you, Roger. W7FTM, back to you.
Thank you for joining us this evening, Alex, and have a wonderful night. Let's move on to Daryl in Australia, VK3AWA. Good evening, Daryl. Are you sticking any push pins in the wall map for your contacts? Over.
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, and those listening on the net. No, I've never done that at all, Roger. I do have this little doll that looks a little bit like Alex. I like to put pins in that. Back to you, Roger.
Oh, my goodness. No push pins in dolls. Have a great day, Daryl. Or day there. Have a great day. Let's move on to James, Evansville, Indiana, N9ISU. Good evening, James. Oh, wait, that's via text. Oh, well, I'll let you know who's text next. Oh, well, I jumped the gun there anyhow. Anybody else you want to text in, go ahead. Let's go with this list here. W2BLT, my buddy Scott, Buffalo, New York. K4ITA, Leo, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. N3LLY, Glenburnie, Maryland. KR4DRJ, Ron, Huntsville, Alabama. N5RTC, Terry, Austin, Texas. And top of the list, N9ICU, James, Evansville, Indiana. Are you there, James?
N9ISU, Jim in Evansville, Indiana, where it's currently 34 degrees and very chilly. How's things in Florida? Over.
Oh, well, they're pretty chilly here, too, Jim. We'll put you down for Jim if you'd rather have that. And our question of the night is, have you ever put any push pins in the wall to map your contacts? Over.
Actually, I have done that. I've been a licensed ham since 1985. Started on 10-meter HF pretty regular back then. And I had a map up on the wall and I put push pins in there. And now I use NetLogger. So that's my story that I'm sticking to. Over to you.
Well, that's a good story to stick with there, Jim. And yes, it is 40 degrees here in Central Florida and going down to, I think, 34 in the morning. It's pretty cold with a slight breeze, but we're supposed to warm up next couple of days, and we can handle it for a couple of days. Thanks again, Jim. Let's move on to Terry, Austin, Texas, N5RTC. Good evening, Terry.
Good evening, Roger, and everyone on the net tonight. Simple question, two answers. As a ham, I have not used pins in a map. When I was a shortwave listener, this is back in the early 60s, I had ordered from Allied Radio in Chicago an ARRL map of the world, and I used push pins in that map up on the wall to show the shortwave countries that I had logged. So, I'll turn it back over to you, Roger. This is N5RTC, back to net control.
Thanks, Terry. Sound good tonight. Always appreciate you being in the room for a little round table action. Have a great evening. Let's move on to Ron, Huntsville, Alabama, KR4DRJ. How about it, Ron? Have you ever put push pins in the wall on the map to mark your contacts? I got to say that map thing once in a while. Dick gets mad. I just say the wall. Just put push pins in the wall. How about it? Sorry about that, Ron. Huntsville, Alabama, KR4DRJ. Are you there?
So answering the question, no. I'm still fairly new, so I'm still writing it all down in a log. Hope everyone is having a good day, and hope to catch you guys on a morning brew coming up. It's not been connecting down here in Huntsville. So 73, back to net.
I don't think I got your answer there, Ron. If you put push pins in a wall map to mark your contacts, or have you ever?
I'll try again. So my answer to the question is no, and hopefully I'll catch you guys on the morning brew again. The repeater down here in Huntsville has not been connecting.
All right, Ron, I was paying attention that time. First time I was off gandering at shiny objects. But we got your answer no, and thanks for getting in there tonight. Let's move on to Glenn, Glen Burnie, Maryland, N3LLY. Good evening, Glenn.
Well, good evening, Roger, Vicki, and the rest of the net. Well, years before I became a ham radio operator, somebody gave me an 11-meter radio and a nice Yagi antenna, and that was Echo 21, and if you old-timers probably remember that one. I had two big Rand McNally maps on the wall, and I built them up with push pins. Absolutely. Here I got my ham license. Logs, and by the way, I still actually have my paper logs. Anyway, guys, have a good evening, 7-3, and talk to you all tomorrow on the morning brew. Back to you, Roger.
You got it, Glenn. Thanks for joining us this evening. This is Roger, KO4QMM in Central Florida with the East Coast Reflector. Tuesday night TechNet. All are welcome to join in. Let's move on to Leo, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, K4ITA. Good evening, Leo. Have you ever put any push pins in the wall map to mark your contacts?
Good evening, Roger. Good evening, Vicky. And good evening from Fort Lauderdale. No, actually, no. I use the logbook of M Radio Deluxe to keep track of my contact and then have a look at them, okay? Everybody, great night. This is K4ITA. Back to Net Control. Talk to you tomorrow.
You have a wonderful evening there, Leo, and enjoy that cool weather tonight. Let's move on to my buddy Scott, Buffalo, New York, W2BLT. Good evening, Scott.
Hey, good evening, Roger, and everybody on the net. Good question tonight. I have push pins, brand new in a package, and I have a map still rolled up in the tube because I haven't found wall enough upstairs to put it up. So, maybe eventually, but not right yet, I haven't. Everybody have a great evening. This is W2BLT. Thanks, Roger.
Thank you, Scott. And yeah, I couldn't wait to start putting push pins in that map of the world and learn so much geography. My teachers would have been proud. So on that note, that's it for that list. Now we'll take in and outs, mobiles, whatever you got. Come with your call sign twice and slow. Try to scatter them out a little bit.
Kilo 4 Delta Uniform Tango. KK4 Kilo 4.
Kilo Echo 2 Delta Yankee Lima. KE2 EYO.
This is 9Y4 DX. 9 Yankee 4 Delta X-ray. Bertrand.
N2B8, N2B8. W2NYY, WA2NYY, in and out.
Kilo Echo 4, Whiskey Mike 1. Kilo Echo 4, Whiskey Runner. Gravity and Washington County Captain, in and out, please. Thank you.
W2KJV, W2KJV.
Kilo Juliet 5, Lima, Tango, Zulu. Kilo Juliet 5, Lima, Tango, Zulu.
This is KI5WJF, KI5WJF.
KF4RAY, Kilo India 4, Romeo Alpha Yankee.
Alright, I think we got a nice list there. KI5, WJF, Mike, Houston, Texas. KJ5LTZ, Lane, Newcastle, Oklahoma. W2KJV, Tony, Homosassa, Florida. KI4RAY, Ray, Tennessee. WA2NYY, in and out, Mark, Hopewell Junction, New York. Have a great evening, Mark. W4PPX, in and out, Don, Hollywood, Florida. Have a great evening, Don. Thanks for joining us. N2BH, my buddy Bill, Palmyra, New York. NY4DX, Bertrand, we see you found us again. Hang in there, Bertrand. KE2DYL, yep, DYL, Brooklyn, New York. KK4DUT, top of the list, Felix, Coleman, Alabama. How about it, Felix? Have you ever put push pins in a wall map to mark your contacts? Over. Uh-oh, might have been a drive-by. How about it, Felix? You still there? KK4DUT. He's probably busy putting push pins in the wall map. Let's move on to Ulysses. Brooklyn, KE2DYL. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, all. Good evening to the net. I myself, I do my pins virtually on my computer on a world map, and just like you, some of my teachers would be impressed with all the new stuff I've learned over the last year and 3-4 months since I became a ham operator. Back to net.
Oh, it's the truth. I'm telling you what, it's fun learning, and then you go from the flat map to the globe when you start playing around with the beam antennas, just figuring out where you're going. I enjoy it, really enjoy it. Thanks for joining us. You have a great evening. All right, Bertrand, you still there? NY4DX, are you there, and are you putting any push pins in the wall to mark your map for your contacts? Over.
Well, a pleasant evening to you, Net Control. This is 9Y4DX Bertrand. My location, Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Well, Roger, at Net Control, I'm having a little difficulty with my transmission. I'm hearing myself sometimes, and then other times I'm not. But I hope I'm being heard at this time. Well, the answer to the question is no. I have not used pins on a map to register my contacts. Well, everyone, I hope you have a pleasant evening and catch you again soon. Back to you, Roger. Net Control. 04QMM. This is 9Y4. Yes.
Beautiful audio, my friend, and have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us as always. Let's move on to my buddy Bill, one of the net controllers here on the ECR, Palmyra, New York, N2BH. Good evening, Bill. You sticking pins on the map?
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, everybody. No, I had never even thought of it. I didn't know. Might have to check out the ones online. Have a good night, and to BH.
Yeah, I never thought about it before doing it. I just said I map, and then I was like, well, I need to mark on the map. No thinking about it. Have a great one, Bill. And we had our couple in and outs, and let's move on to Ray, Lafayette, Tennessee, KI4RAY. Good evening, Ray.
Oh, good evening there, Roger. This is KI4RAY from Lafayette, Tennessee. Lafayette is a different town. No, I haven't used push pins yet. I've only been a ham for less than a year and only got into HF in the last 9 months or so. So just basically logging in my contacts on QRZ. That's what I do when I make a good solid HF contact. And lots of POTA, and the contacts are already squared away for you in your hunter log. So that's where I'm at. 7-3, y'all.
7:30, Ray. You have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on to Tony. Homosassa, Florida, W2KJB. Good evening, Tony.
Roger, sounding good tonight. Tony here, W2KJV. No, I have not put push pins in the wall. Plan on doing it, though, soon. I hope everyone has a great night. W2KJV. Back to you, Roger.
You have good evening, too. And bottom of the list is, no, we got Lane, Newcastle, Oklahoma, KJ5LTZ. Good evening, Lane. Have you ever put any push pins in the wall map to mark your contacts?
Again, I just want to thank you for running this net. Super cool. No, I have not done that, but I think you did open my mind a little bit. I'm looking on Amazon, and I'm seeing them pretty expensive, but I think I'm looking at like the wafer boards with the map on the back. Maybe I can Hobby Lobby it, do it my own way for cheaper. Or I'm looking on the App Store. They have some pretty cool apps that look like I might be able to use. So you definitely opened my mind a little bit. Before I go ahead and get off this, when do you guys have your nets? I'm lucky I caught you on a net. Is it usually like around this time, like 30 minutes ago? Because I'm like in the middle of the United States, so I think y'all are an hour ahead of where I am.
QSL Eastern Time, and this is the East Coast Reflector. Check out eastcoastreflector.com. There's a lot there to see, a magazine, and you can hit the menu bar and push nets, and you'll see all the different nets, and a lot of fun. And we're here every morning, too, doing a morning brew from Monday through Friday. So check us out. There's a lot there to see. Does that answer your question, my friend?
Yes, sir. Checking it out now. Thank you. KJ5LTZ.
Thank you. Great audio. Welcome. Let's move on to Mike, Houston, Texas. KI5WJF. Good evening to you, Mike. And have you ever put any push pins in the wall map to mark your contacts?
KI5WJF, Mike. No, I've not marked contacts. I'm a relatively new licensee and had started with a mobile in a car or in a van, and just recently got a handheld, and today got a new kind of magnetic mounted antenna, so I'm testing it out. Curious if you can hear me okay.
And you check out eastcoastreflector.com too. I guess not while you're cruising right now. Are you at home or are you driving?
I'm home sitting just testing this antenna. So yeah, I'm trying to learn more about the different nets out there, so I'll definitely go check out eastcoastreflector.com. Thank you.
You got it. It's cool. And there's a Zoom room. You can put a face with a call sign if you like. Have a great evening. Thanks for joining us. All right, that does it for this evening. Just kidding. I just want to see your reaction. Anybody anywhere that would like to join in tonight, answer the question of the evening, in and outs, mobile, whatever you got, come with your call sign.
N1YKT, N1
YKT. In and out. Time to go to bed.
4NBU, KN4NBU, Paul.
CHH, John in upstate New York, and yes, I've used push pins.
Right.
I got more conjuncts than I did call signs. Well, I'll tell you who we got, though. Mobile was Paul in Tennessee, KN4NVU. And we got Johnny in and out, N1YKT. You have a great evening there, John. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Paul, you're mobile there. Might as well go on to you. KN4NVU. Good evening, Paul. And have you ever put push pins in the wall map to mark your contacts? Yes, I have. I enjoy using push pins. Matter of fact, I have a cork board behind me here, and I'm not mobile at the moment, but I may have said mobile, but I'm not. I'm Shaq here on the Zoom call as well, so I really enjoy the network. But yes, I use push pins. QSL, Paul. Well, it sounds a little rough. He's got a little bit of transmission noise going there. It's probably why you sounded like you were mobile. But you have a wonderful evening there, and keep push pinning along. Get them contacts. All right, anybody else would like to join us this evening? This is KO4QMM with the East Coast Reflector, Tuesday Night TechNet. Anybody, anywhere.
KD2VU, KD2VU.
Whiskey 0, Sierra, Victor Hotel, W0SVH.
Bravo 8, Papa Lima Victor, Kilo Bravo 8, Papa Lima Victor, Chris, in and out.
That last one, Bravo, when you come back, sounded a little bit.
Kilo Delta 7, Lima Hotel Bravo. Kilo Delta 7, Lima Hotel Bravo.
QSL, Don, we got you. Vicky had you before I even came back to you. All right, KD7LHB, Don, Warren, Oregon, KB8PLV, in and out. Chris, Novi, Michigan, I do believe. Have a great evening there, Chris. NOXRG, Ron, Baytown, Texas. WOSVH, Sean, Anderson, Texas. And my buddy Derby Dan in Derby, New York. KD2VNU. How about it, Dan? Are you sticking push pins in the wall map?
Good evening, Roger. Good evening to everybody on the net. No, I do not have a world map up to push pins in the map. Something for the future, though. It's a good idea. KD2VNU, return back to the net. Good question.
Thanks, yeah, it's keeping me busy tonight. Whoever came up with that, that was a good one. And, yeah, I keep that map up there. It's a good reference map, too, to just look up there and give me an idea of where I'm at, where I'm looking. Thanks again, Dan, for joining us this evening. Let's move on to Sean, Anderson, Texas, WOSVH. Good evening, Sean.
Good evening.
is Sean over here in Carlos, Texas. W0SBH.
Well, good evening to you, Sean. Thanks for joining us. Have you ever put any push pins in the wall map to mark your contacts?
No, I haven't. I actually started writing down. My first station was set up in my shop, and I was writing down contacts on the plywood wall. And I've graduated to a notebook, but I don't have a map with push pins yet for doing HF. Back to you, net control. W0SVH.
QSL, thanks for joining us, and you have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to Ron, Baytown, Texas, NOXRG. Good evening, Ron.
Thank you for running the net. No, no push pins for me, but it's a good idea. At this point, I'd be so far behind. My goodness. But no, put me down for a no, but it's a good idea. N0XRG, back to you.
Join us, Ron. You have a great evening. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida. Let's move on to Don, Warren, Oregon, KD7LHB. Good evening, Don.
Well, good evening. I tell you what, it's a real nice evening this evening. Getting ready to go on a turkey hunt for Thanksgiving pretty soon, so I don't know if I'm going to hit that turkey right away or it's going to take a day or two. Anyway, I don't have anything else going, so I want to wish everybody a nice holidays and have a good Thanksgiving. See ya. Kilo Delta 7 Lima Hotel Bravo, back to control.
QSL, Don, I'm pretty sure you said no. You were a little bit raspy there to listen to, but we got you. Have a great evening. Thanks for joining us. That's the end of that list. All right, we're going to try one more time here. Anybody anywhere would like to join us? Have you ever put any push pins in the wall map to mark your contacts? Come with your call sign twice and slow to join us.
GHH.
Zulu Sierra 2 Echo Charlie. VFF.
I got a couple of them need to figure out here. There was a PM last call there. Was there a PM? Yeah, you seem like you're just a little bit too far away from the repeater or something there. And we got KE9DFF, Evan in Wisconsin. We got my buddy Tom, Port Elizabeth, ZS2EC, and there was a 2GHH or something like that.
AE2GHH.
Papa Mike. Mid-power.
That last one, you come back again?
Bravo 1 Kilo Papa Mike. I bumped it up to mid-power.
Yeah, we got you that time. A little bit hard of hearing on the first one. All right, we got KB1 KPM, Art, Connecticut, and the others. Anybody else want to get in on this list? We're down to the last of the end of the East Coast Reflector Tuesday night TechNet. Anybody else?
This is November Juliet 1 Sierra Mobile, NJ1 Sierra Mobile, Eric in Williston, Vermont.
This is Whiskey 8 Delta Charlie Mike, Whiskey 8 Delta Charlie Mike, Mobile, Lincoln Park, Michigan, in and out.
November 3 Tango Juliet Kilo and 3 DJK, Tim in Pasadena, Maryland, in and out.
Please consider NJ1S in and out as well. I should have said that earlier. Check in and out only. Thank you.
DJ5 MLZ, Kilo Juliet 5 Mike Lima Zulu, Ezra, Beltrace, Louisiana, in and out.
KE2EHI, Kilo Echo 2 Echo Hotel India, in and out.
N4RAP, in and out.
Kilo 8 November Romeo, in and out.
All right. That ought to complete the East Coast Reflector Tuesday night TechNet list, and pretty good one at that. Let me get these in and outs taken care of, and then we'll get to the top of the list there. John, hang in there. K8NR, Neil, Buckhannon, West Virginia, in and out. N4RAP, Wayne, Illinois, in and out. KE2EHI, Joe, New York, in and out. KJ5MLZ, Ezra, Louisiana, in and out. N3TJK, Timothy, Maryland, in and out. N3TJ, I said down. Trying to keep up with you there, Vicky. W8TCM, Dean, Lincoln Park, Michigan, in and out. And Eric, NJ1S, Mobile, in and out. Have a great evening, Eric, Dean, Timothy, Ezra, Joe, Wayne, Neil. Y'all have a great evening. Thanks for joining us. All right, top of the list there, John from New York, KE2GHH. Have you ever put any push pins in the wall map to mark your contacts, John?
Yes, I have. I'm looking at it right now, and I also keep a logbook.
All right, thanks for joining us, John. We got you in there for a big fat thumbtack. You have a great evening, and look for us down the line there. ZS2EC Tom, how's my buddy doing?
Good morning to everybody. I just woke up 9 minutes past 5. No, I haven't. I've got the map in front of me. No, I haven't put pins in the map when I make those. I keep electronic logbook. I had a paper logbook for 28 years, but don't put pins in my map. It's too expensive. So back to you there, Roger.
Good to hear from you, Tom. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on to Evan, Milton, Wisconsin, K9DFF. Yes, good evening, Evan.
Good evening, everybody in the net.
I can honestly say that I have not done a push pin in a map, but I will say I'm probably the odd one here because I have done that. I've only been licensed since May, but we did do Scouts on the Air back in the mid to late 90s that the group I was with, we did keep track of contacts via push pin and a map. So as an official ham, no. Through the Scouts, yes. Take it as you will. KE9 DFF.
Congratulations, you made it in. Vicky gave you a push pin. Thanks for joining us this evening. Wonderful. Let's move on to Art, the end of the list. West Haven, Connecticut, KB1KPM, or KPI. Good evening, Art.
Even that KB1KPM. No, I don't have no map, no push pins, but it's a good idea to have. But if I do get one, I might have to put it in front of my closet door because where my station is at, I got the two front windows in front of me. So, hey, maybe the door, I could maybe place the map on the door. Hey, very good. KB1 KPM, back to the net.
The only problem I see with push pins on the door is when you step on them. It really hurts. You have a good evening there, Neil, or what, Neil? Thanks for joining us. That's the end of the list. I guess we'll have one itty-bitty little bonus round if we did miss somebody. Tell me your call sign. That pretty much answers that. I think everybody had a good evening. I had a good evening. I want to thank everybody for joining us on behalf of WB2 JPQ, the godfather of the East Coast Reflector, and Miss Vicky for doing a wonderful job logging tonight, keeping me straight, KE8BKY. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida. Thank you all. This frequency is back to normal amateur use. 7-3.